Hey everybody, Sean Hatzel here with Get Lean in 12. If you're scrolling through your feed, stop and check this out because I'm going to share 6 ways people over 40 can lose stubborn fat faster. And inside this video, you'll see these 6 hormones down here, and I'm going to share with you how my wife Karen and I control all 6 of these hormones to look years younger than our real age. And then I'm also going to introduce you to a system I've created called the Over 40 App Solution. And you can learn about that at the link somewhere around this video, but don't click that yet because I have a ton of great content I'm going to give you here. And inside this system, you'll also learn about a new 12-minute metabolic movement pattern designed for people in their 40s, 50s, or 60s to optimize hormones for a leaner and healthier body. Now, if you're scrolling through your feed, make sure you stop, you say hi, you put your name in the comments, let us know where you're from. And what I want to do is I want to share with you what happened to me way back in 1998 when I got my start in the health and fitness industry. I was fortunate enough to place first runner-up grand champion in the Body for Life contest. And there was over 22,000 finishers in that contest. And that was my catalyst to appear on ESPN, get featured in fitness magazines and on other news channels. But what I discovered was back then, my hormonal condition was a lot different. Now, my wife is 57 and I'm 45. We're grandparents to 3 beautiful grandkids, and people freak out because we look so much younger than our real age. In fact, when you go to the link around this video, you'll read about my wife's inspiring story, and you'll see her after picture. She has quite the story. When we first met over 10 years ago, she was diagnosed with colorectal cancer, and this forced her into early onset menopause, and she accumulated a ton of upper belly fat. Well, this 12-minute metabolic movement pattern that you can just perform when you wake up or before going to bed was one of the catalysts that she used to get rid of her belly fat, as you'll see in the after picture when you go check out our system. Now, Karen and I still use this 12-minute metabolic movement pattern to this day because it is designed for our current hormonal condition, and if you're over 40 years old, it's designed for you as well. And we do this without long, boring marathon-style cardio workouts or needing a gym membership. We do it without strict, complicated diets, calorie counting, or cutting carbs. We've actually discovered how it's possible to eat lots of carbs without gaining belly fat, and we'll share with you how we do this inside my system. And then we also do it without silly ab gadgets that can harm your spine, or knee-jarring DVD workouts, things like P90X, Insanity, and CrossFit. These are amazing workouts if you're under 35 years old, but they're not designed for the current hormonal condition of people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And if you think doing more crunches and sit-ups is how to lose belly fat, you're sadly mistaken, unfortunately, because Men's Health recently posted an article about how it takes 22,000 crunches just to lose a pound of belly fat, 1 measly pound. Instead, focus on the tips I'm going to share inside this video about how Karen and I control all 7 of these hormones. The first thing I want to do before I talk about these hormones is talk about a study that was published in the Journal of Obesity. Now, every single claim that I make in this video, I'm going to substantiate by posting a published reference below so that you know this has been published in a scientific journal. This isn't hearsay, it's backed by science. So inside this study, what they discovered is that those who focused on hormones instead of calorie deficits lost up to 65% more weight. So the myth is that a daily calorie deficit is all that's needed to lose weight. Yes, keeping your body in a calorie deficit 4 or 5 days of the week can be very beneficial to help you lose weight. But you have to be careful because you need to optimize hormones in order to keep the weight loss coming off. So the first hormone that we control is called insulin. And the way that we control insulin is we never eat impact carbs alone. So anytime that we consume a starchy carbohydrate, a ripe fruit, or any type of sugar, we know that causes a spike in insulin. And when insulin is elevated, it makes it nearly impossible for our bodies to access fat as a fuel source. So the solution to this is, number 1, try to eat your carbs post-workout after you use our 12-minute movement patterns. And then also add a protein and a fiber with that carbohydrate. So anytime you eat a starch, a fruit, or a sugar, by balancing it out with protein and fiber, you keep insulin and blood sugar stable, and that is what allows Karen and I to keep our body in a fat-burning environment. Hormone number 2 is called leptin. Leptin communicates to the body whether you should burn fat or whether or not you should store fat. And the number 1 way that Karen and I use to control leptin levels is we avoid processed fructose, which can wreak havoc on the liver. And this is much different than fructose that's found in fruit. Remember, fructose found in fruit has an antidote in it. It has fiber and vitamins and minerals, so it's completely different than the fructose that you'll see that's processed inside boxed or processed foods. So do everything in your power to avoid processed foods. Fructose, because it has been shown to decrease leptin sensitivity. The third hormone is ghrelin, and ghrelin regulates your hunger. So what Karen and I do is we make sure we eat a complete protein source in every single meal. And the research shows that this helps with cravings and hunger. And one thing that you need to understand about complete protein is things like nuts, nut butters, whether they're raw or not, and cheese. Although they contain small amounts of protein, they're not complete sources. And if you look at the labels on those foods, they actually contain a lot more fat grams than they do protein. So I'm not saying the protein in these foods aren't beneficial. I'm just saying you should focus on quality, complete protein sources. Grass-fed beef, chicken, turkey, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, whole cage-free eggs. These are the proteins that are going to help regulate ghrelin levels. The fourth hormone is growth hormone. And there's a few simple ways that Karen and I use to help with adequate growth hormone levels. The first thing we do is we don't eat 2 hours before bed about 4 or 5 days of the week. And the reason that we do this is because if you eat before bed, it's not necessarily going to make you fat if you're making healthy choices, but anytime we eat, we know we raise insulin levels. And when our insulin levels are elevated, it makes it almost impossible for the body to release growth hormone while we sleep. So the solution to this is to eat your last meal about 2 hours before bed, about 4 or 5 days of the week if you can. And then this allows insulin to stabilize so that when we go to sleep, we know our body will release adequate growth hormone levels. There's also another strategy we use called intermittent fasting. And I recommend that women do this for 12 to 14 hours a day, about 4 or 5 days of the week. As a man, you can extend that window all the way up to 16 hours. So an example of intermittent fasting is, say you have your last meal at 8 or 9 p.m. The next day, if you're a female, you wouldn't have your first meal until 8 or 9 a.m. And then if you're a man, you could push that window up to noon or 1 p.m. By doing this, it has been shown to increase growth hormone levels naturally, and I'll post some research below substantiating that. The fifth hormone is cortisol. And the way that Karen and I regulate cortisol, we get 7 hours of sleep or more, at least 5 or 6 days of the week, and then we avoid too much cardio. So some research has shown that people who get less than 6 hours sleep per night can mess up their cortisol cycle. So remember, when you sleep, this is when you repair, this is when you recover. So it's important, go out of your way to get enough sleep. The other thing that we do is we avoid too much cardio. So when you click the link around this video, you're going to go over to our website and learn about our system. You're going to see about 4 published studies showing that too much cardio can wreak havoc on the metabolism of people in their 40s, 50s, or 60s. So you want to avoid too much cardio, and we show you exactly how to do that in the Over 40 Ab Solution. The sixth and final hormone is what we call adrenaline. So Karen and I engage in 20 to 30 second metabolic bursts. So these are movement patterns with rest periods and intensity levels that are specifically designed for our hormonal condition. And when you do this, you release adrenaline. And we know when our body releases adrenaline, it converts into the hormones that actually will break apart fat cells and release fatty acids into the bloodstream so they can be delivered to working muscles to be burned off. Now, this is just a fancy way of saying we know that these 20 to 30 second movement patterns release the hormones that help us burn more belly fat. It's that simple. Now, again, if you have any questions, make sure you post it in the comments area. We'll try to answer it as best we can. And you'll learn all about our innovative system when you click the link around this video. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to check this out. And I know that time is our most precious commodity, so I really appreciate you taking time to check this out. Now, before I go, I want to share one last thing with you that we're very passionate about. Last year, we created a partnership with Living Water International, and we take $1 from every person who grabs our Over 40 Ab Solution system, and we contribute it towards our partnership to Living Water International. And believe it or not, $1 doesn't seem like a lot, but $1 can provide clean water to a needy child for almost 90 days. And last year, we donated over $29,000 to Living Water International, thanks to people like you who purchased the Over 40 Ab Solution system. And as a result of that, we're saving lives. We installed water wells in Honduras, India, and Nicaragua, and there's a 4th one going in. So I wanted to share that with you because Once you click the link around this video and you learn about our system, you'll also know, though, that you can be a part of this amazing cause. So thanks for watching this, and keep going strong.